and you challenge me to do something, it's no different. And the starting point is, did the listeners here ever do something you knew nobody else would understand? And embracing that and stepping into it. And I'm kind of labeled a little bit as the accidental adventurer because it's not who I saw myself to be. However, I said yes. I stepped into the fear. I stepped into the unknown. I stepped into that adventure. And that's the greatness.
We get it. You're busy. You want to grow, and we want to help. You're passionate about your craft because it deeply matters to you. Your faith is important. It's your foundation. At Stay Forth, we coach leaders to avoid burnout, live and lead with clarity, purpose, and from a place of health. We want you to experience long-term impact. Welcome to the journey. Scott, welcome to the studio, my man.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me, Al.
We've already caught up. I mean, people are catching this conversation late. We had talked about 7 summits and climbing. We'll do that a little bit. But really what's below that and what you've learned as you've been on these excruciating climbs literally across the world. You come from kind of the CEO, business background as well. And man, it's just really cool to watch God kind of zip those together. What's that process been like for you to ultimately now influence people from these crazy cool experiences that we're going to hear a little about?
Yeah, sitting in the experience from inception to now, a lot happens emotionally, spiritually, physically. And when we choose to engage in a journey, I think one of the best things is to sit in that and look around, which I'm not always good at. I'm usually the climb that mountain, run over the hill.
Let's go forward thinking.
Yeah. And so I learned to slow down a little bit. But just to be able to sit in it and be in a space that you're supposed to be in is simply amazing, no matter what it is, whatever we're asked to do. And so it's that power of yes to that journey. So it's been great to listen. It's been great to stride. But where my heart is the story to share for others. And that's excitement around it.
All right, man. So take us back to this moment where you're like, I'm not really a mountaineer, but I get this crazy idea, the 7 summits. Where did it come from?
Yeah, it was being in a relationship with God. And in that relationship, as we have closeness, we get to have conversations and talk and have experiences. And just like a good buddy, we're out and you challenge me to do something, it's no different. And the starting point is, did the listeners here ever do something you knew nobody else would understand? And embracing that and stepping into it. And I'm kind of labeled a little bit as the accidental adventurer because it's not who I saw myself to be. However, I said yes. I stepped into the fear. I stepped into the unknown. I stepped into that adventure. And that's the greatness.
So tell listeners, what did you hear from God? What are the big 4?
Yeah, 4 distinct asks. Leave your job, which I was in the American dream job, the worldly perspective, great role, traveled, high income, all the things on paper of the American or Westerner dream. Leave your job, climb the 7 summits, start a nonprofit, and fund it yourself.
And you did not know what the 7 summits were. You went to Google to figure it out.
I went to Dr. Google.
That's wild. So really, I mean, there are people who are climbers and then try to instill business principles or leadership principles. You are the business guy, the leadership guy, the guy who's carrying it out. And then you learn mountaineering. Now you're coming back around to kind of zip these 2 things together. Is that right?
Absolutely. So, yeah, I mean, mountains are amazing for analogies and the business world. I mean, we see the number one CEO group in the world, Vistage,
Yep.
uses mountains.
I say I'm a mountain guy. They had the leadership journey.
Exactly.
You know, so absolutely. And forward thinking, let's take the hill, let's take the mountain kind of leaders. You're perfectly set up to challenge those people.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a great plan.
It's just who you are. So your congrats on your book, Unreasonable, 7 Impactful Lessons Discovered Climbing the 7 Summits. Guys, I'm so excited to dig in. Amazon bestseller, congrats.
Thank you.
I know what it takes to put things in here. And I know that for you, this was a stretch and a challenge. You're up for it, right? This is you in Antarctica on one of the summits. Vincent
Like,
added, yeah, man, you're there. I love the image. I love the stories around it. Can't wait to dive into it. But what would you say is like, what do you want people to feel? What do you want people to experience when they finish this book besides mind blown, fired up?
yeah, you will be mind blown, fired up. It's about this concept of more. And I'm gonna rewind a little bit. As a kid growing up in a broken home, broken family, you know, we talk a lot about statistics around the fatherless family. You know, 85% of men, severe mental health issues, 63% suicide, more men in prison than in churches, right? So that's there. But as a kid, I knew there was something else. I knew there was more out there. I didn't know what it meant. Fast forward, 2012, I'm on a mission trip serving, and a good friend of mine was preaching, and he said the words that more is available to everybody. And Alan,
It's changed your life right there.
well, it resonated. It like hit me hard, right? And it just sat there, and that's 2012. 2017, I have this ask. It's 2025. I'm figuring it out, right? This more concept. And so when you ask about the book, is this more is available for everybody, right? But as the readers and the audience are in these pages, I simply want to challenge people to have those self-discovery moments for what their more is. And it's always about other people. And it's a great place to be. And sometimes we have to just bask in silence to understand what that means. And yeah, there's cool maps and awesome pictures and great stories and suffering. You'll see pictures of me like dying. And that's cool, right? Because we're adventurers at the core. And that's fun. But back to your point is I wasn't an alpinist or mountaineer. I surrendered, understood the more. So the takeaway for a reader is to be encouraged, inspired to say yes with your alignment for your more.
So the more guy, some people call you that. What are you looking for people to develop more of? What just fires you up if they have more blank?
So more is not what we think it is. We think more, more, more. I'm already doing enough. I don't have time for more books, more podcasts, more meetings. This more, there's an ease of it. There's ease and more. And so understanding that this is about alignment. And it's alignment of understanding what purpose is. It's alignment of understanding what fulfillment is. The more component is expansion of opportunity when our decisions are aligned with purpose and fulfillment.
So talk about that purpose. Kind of give me your working definition. Why is that so vital?
It's vital because purpose is thrown around a lot.
Yeah, it's kind of a buzzword.
It's a massive buzzword. And people say passion, do what you enjoy doing. And we're going to state a very clear definition right now of purpose. It's the best of what I have, the best of what you have for others. The best of what you have for others.
Good.
Purpose is always about others. It's not about self.
You'd say it's discovered or uncovered?
Whew, that's kind of loaded, right? Because
Or I guess the question, how does somebody discover or uncover their purpose?
yeah, there's 4 archetypes that we can define it by. And what happens, it's a mix. 2 of those are nature, 2 of those are nurture. Natural advantage, origin strength, pull passion, and acquired skills. And so combination of that nature and nurture, understand what that is, we have an ability to have a clear purpose statement and sentence. Understanding who that is or what that is, then we start focusing on who the best people are to serve, which leads us to fulfillment.
Yep. You know, where do purpose and fulfillment, kind of the Venn diagram, where do they connect?
Oh, can I whiteboard this for you?
Dude, I wish. We need like a giant whiteboard that just pulls out, man.
Yeah. So
my dream.
So I'm going to give you the air visual here. So if we have, we're going to say, here's Alan. All right. And we throw this nice arrow to others. That's purpose. The best of what Alan has for others.
Yeah.
Fulfillment is the result of choosing to live in that. So it's from others back to you.
That's good. So really, this is cyclical.
Absolutely. And so it's a KPI of living in your purpose.
That's good. That's good. Now talk about alignment. Alignment's a huge word for you. Why is that vital to all this?
If we're not properly aligned with that, one, and we know this by data, 25 years we've been collecting data, Gallup, Harvard, Yale, Forbes. People are not happy. People are not enjoyed. People are not fulfilled. We're in this cycling mindset of, what do we do? How do I do it? The rat race. And so we back it up. And when we have that definition and we have clarity, like crystal clear clarity, then we can choose to make decisions that allow us to be in that's alignment. So we have our design purpose, then we have our purpose. Fulfillment, one of my major things is live a greater than fulfilled lifestyle. Greater than fulfilled. So fulfilled, there's no endpoints, but greater than fulfilled, we're having that impact for others through purpose. And so that alignment, the more breaks down to opportunities. As opportunities increase, we choose to do that. We make decisions, and we're seeing the fruit. We're seeing the greatness. We're living, and human nature is, when we feel connected and we see it, it gets us going.
Yeah,
it just does.
Yeah, what greater rush is there than that?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, unbelievable. And I would say what makes me sad is how few people will get to experience that. Right? You're talking about the 1% of people that you're really aiming at, the hungry, the people ready to change, and maybe they're just not ready yet. You know, to be fair, some people are just not ready yet. In that, but I think there's a low-grade sadness to go, when I experience this, I want it for everybody else.
Absolutely.
I can't believe I get to wake up and do what I get to do.
Absolutely.
Whether it's within my family or whether we call it ministry, we call it business, all of it. Gosh, the fulfillment of that. And that's one of the reasons not only we do this podcast, but Stay Forth Leadership is to figure out what is that thing that makes you tick, and it's for the good of everybody else. And I love that idea that it just keeps giving. It almost kind of expands out too. You know, it kind of gets bigger in water. The opportunities keep coming, right?
Well, it does. And now I really want a whiteboard. So one of the things I was shown through this process of, as we're saying yes to these opportunities, we have this like slingshot for others. But do you know what a moment arm is? So I come from like a math degree, engineering, all this geeky stuff. I love numbers. And so a moment arm, imagine like, you go out and change a tire, right? And if you just had a socket and threw it on that lug nut, you're probably not going to knock it loose, but you put a tire on there, it comes out and you have torque, right? So with less force, you can increase its rotational strength based on distance, right? Now get this, when we're operating in decisions for others, and now we're aligned, that's that moment arm, that's a force, and we're for others, and we're in full alignment, we're choosing to make these decisions, we start having exponential impact because we're aligned.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I mean,
And then those opportunities start to come to you, right? As opposed to having to go out and find them. You're really in that space right now.
Yeah.
I mean, climb 7 summits, Everest twice, as if one wasn't good enough. You go from a different angle on that. All the incredible work that you did, which a lot of people probably don't know. They're going to think about you as the mountain climbing guy, community development work, and really intense, even anti-sex trafficking work in some of those areas. You have a lot of stories to tell. So the opportunities are coming your way. So give me your purpose statement. And how do you know if an opportunity is good or best right now?
Ooh, that's great. So my purpose is to build something greater than me for shared experiences. So when we look at some of those archetypes, I'm a builder, I'm a vision guy. And when we break it down, I'm an experiential guy. We talked about the book, like the 1%ers. It matters to me.
Yeah, right. It's beautiful. It's beautifully curated, designed. I can tell that.
Yeah. And so, this lane of even executive coaching and connect with people. A lot of people in our shoes view it as competition. I view it as let's link arms because now we add value.
Yeah.
That value becomes exponential.
Collaboration, man.
It's important.
So how do you decide between good and best right now? A lot of opportunities coming your way, as they should be, right? You've done some incredible things. Again, you've got the corporate experience. You've got ridiculous experience here. And just these cool downloads that you've gotten from God in here. What's good versus what's best right now for Scott?
Yeah, it comes down to pause, stop, and say no. It's a hard word. And I think it's harder for guys like us, right? I am learning every day how to say no better because the power of yes is in alignment. It's not in saying yes. It's about alignment. In fact, I was in a great conversation yesterday with a speaking opportunity. And we were talking about how often I speak and things like that. And I think the number was 25 to 30 or something speaking engagements last year. My goal is 6 intentional ones this year. 6. And then after that, 4, 1 a quarter. It's not about revenue. It's not about number of people. It's not about how cool it feels to be on stage. It's about alignment for impact. And there's power in no as well.
That's good. So you've taken quantity down, quality and alignment is going to go up.
Absolutely.
Natural, kind of fulcrum there. I love that. And that's a tough one. Watching, listening here, that with excellence comes options. And the word gets out, you're going to have more opportunities from those, which equals more no's. We didn't get in this to say no. We got in this to say yes to people. And then suddenly we're going, oh, if I can say a real yes, those are going to have to be quality versus just scattered. I've seen that too many times. That's probably what a lot of your coaching can revolve around as well, is helping people say no. How do you help the executive? How do you help the leader, help the person who desperately wants to change the world? Their heart's getting lit on fire by these opportunities. They're finally in a zone where people are reaching out to. How do you help them dial in on the no's and dial in on their true purpose?
Well, it starts with that purpose statement, right? And then understanding what fulfills us. And so it goes back to that decision-making process, right? So McKinsey study shows that executives make 40,000 decisions a day.
Talk about decision fatigue, 40,000.
So now we know as effective leaders, we need to delegate 90% of that. So now we're focused on 10%, 4,000 decisions. Are they the right ones? Go to the mountain analogy. Are you climbing the right mountain? So when we have an understanding and alignment, we start creating a baseline for habits to create healthy decision-making process. And I'm not going to come in and tell you how to make the decision about how to build, widget X. However, when we look at choosing the right decisions to make or choosing the time allocated, everybody wants time, freedom, and all these things, right? It's about decision-making process. And when we have confidence and habits around that to help us here, we're more effective everywhere.
Yeah, then the decision becomes easier. I mean, really, if you think about habits, those are just pre-made decisions, right? You get to pre-make them.
It's automated, right?
Right. Yeah. It's like, I know what time I'm going to the gym. Do I like it? Is it 6 degrees out? It doesn't matter. I know what time I'm going, and then everything else can kind of go from there. You've been through some seriously hard stuff. I mean, forget just the actual excruciating pain of climbing these peaks. 7 days above 23,000 feet on Everest. I mean, you should have died in that in that opportunity, right? I mean, that's fair to say. You've been drugged, you've been mugged and drugged for days in this process. Finances wiped out, and you've had plenty of people roll their eyes at you. Plenty of people say, "Oh, what are you doing?" Or even push back against what you're doing. How do you stay resilient in the midst of ridiculously hard stuff, or just like a gnawing comment or criticism? How do you stay so resilient, man?
Laser focused on the why. We have to know the why. Sure story with you. When I was on the north side of Everest in 2024, it was a year where 9 out of 12 teams canceled. Tibet was not allowing people in. So China runs Tibet. A lot of political infrastructure there, a lot of things holding people out. And so it was pursuit in alignment with the 7 pillars that I had that gave me this peace and mindset through the pivots. And what happened was nobody was there on the north side to climb. People bailed, right? The fear saw these things, external factors start affecting us, right? And we're not centered. It controls us. Mm-hmm. And so I was able to gain entry to Tibet. I'm on the north side of Everest. Some of the cool things is it was a 100th year anniversary. In fact, they found Irvin's boot and sock. Like, it's a historical year. Ellen, I'm on Everest by myself. I'm moving from high camp, 23,000, North Col, moved the camp to very little oxygen. There weren't cylinders up there. I have upper and lower respiratory infections. Asthma's kicking my butt. Get the camp to at 27,200 feet. No food, sitting there. And through this trip, I had about 25 what if moments. And he was so faithful in each one of those. And I was on a last one if moment. What if I'm able to summit the north side? And early on, when I was in Nepal, I had this instinctual feeling that I needed to have a marker of my why. And so I bought 2 different colored buffs to put on my arm, because that's the only thing really within your scope of vision. And I really wanted to do a double summit, which had never been done before. Base camp summit, base camp summit. China wouldn't allow me to do that. But my point is I had this colored band on my arm for my why. At Camp 3, I got highly emotional, and I'm not a super emotional guy. I was wrecked. I didn't care if I went up there. It didn't matter. I literally broke down and was in a just a weird place. And whatever, a couple hours later, I'm leaving to do the summit, and I was looking for excuses not to go. I'm like, take me out. I'm done. This is horrible. And this why just sat there. And it was somewhat of an out-of-body experience where I was almost robotic, but there was this heaviness and this concentration on my left forearm with this teal-colored buff of my why. Why am I doing this? What's the point? And that why carried me through the entire expedition and ended up leading to a successful summit and coming back down eventually safely. But if we don't know our why, we're going to be whipped all over the place. And the thoughts and the appeal of summiting Everest and all these cool things overtakes it. But I never lost focus on my why. And some cool things happened is I was actually the first American to summit the north side of Everest since 2019.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you. And something I really never planned for is I'm one of a handful, and I mean less than a handful of people ever do it solo.
Wow.
And on my descent, I'm looking out, and we see the traffic lines, and everybody sees these pictures of the south side and craziness.
I think the north side.
No, it can be,
Okay.
but it's south side is exponentially worse. It's crazy over there. And I'm coming down about 28,800 feet, and I'm looking out, and there's not a single soul on this mountain. 100th of the year anniversary, there by myself, beautiful, a climber's dream. And I simply said, no, nobody's coming to rescue me. There's no helicopters, there's no teams. And I had this moment of where I looked, I just wanted to sit. And if we watch these documentaries, if you sit, you die, right? We've seen it. And I remember I just wanted to sit. And I'm looking out at this beauty, all the mountains, like nowhere's higher, nobody around. And I remember thinking, if you sit, you die. I don't want to die. Keep moving. And it was immensely peaceful and such a beautiful moment. But that why just keeps carrying you through. And it's quite a beautiful thing.
That purpose statement that you're talking about, what's your guess? What percentage of leaders do you think have a dialed in purpose?
Oh, I can tell you. I know the stat. And you said it. Less than 1%. Less than 1% of people know their purpose. Less than 1% of that 1% take action and stride in it.
Wow. And that's a huge thing for you, is taking action. I even think about that. Don't sit down. You sit down, you die. I don't want to die. It's not my time yet. And man, what do you say? What do you say to a leader that's exhausted? A lot of folks listening had one contact me this last week to just say, actually two, man, I think this is burnout.
Yeah.
What do you say to that leader that's just so exhausted, they're tempted to just stop taking action?
Yeah, I mean, that's a very personal conversation, right? I mean, we like as coaches, we can come to that with all these mechanics, but no surprise, it's meeting that leader where they're at. I believe there's a support system in that, and saying, "You got this." And clearly the opportunity is we have the tool sets on how to do that, and we know how to prevent burnout and do that. And I'm very confident saying that a lot of leaders are carrying a lot of weight for a lot of different stakeholders, and we have to remove that weight. We can't go up the mountain with every item in our closet and our equipment shed to go up the mountain. It's lean and mean. It's just not. Yeah, and I mean, there's a saying: ounces turn to pound, pounds turn to pain, pain turns to death. Right. And so we have to meet these leaders where they're at. And we have to have systems that are easy. They're not more, right? It's the ease of more, but it's possible and it's okay and it's normal. But there is a solution. And at the end of the day, we need to connect to each other and get out of isolation and sift through the muck to gain clarity. And with clarity, we'll gain momentum and be in the right direction.
That's good. And I think it may be more important than it ever has been. I'd love to get your take on that. Complexity, decision fatigue, the amount of things coming at us, information overload. We talk a lot about those things here, because if we don't have a plan against those, it's kind of like if you don't have a plan against getting sucked into your phone, you're going to get sucked into your phone. Like these people creating the algorithms are so much smarter than us. Like I am not smarter than whoever programs this, this crazy computer in my pocket.
That's right.
So when I think about the complexity of leaders right now, I think simplicity and clarity are gifts. And you're talking about that. I mean, what better thing than knowing our purpose to go, boom, here's the light. Here's the light. You're even talking about you're up on a ridge and this way is death. This way is death. What are some of the kind of parallels for leaders in terms of walking on the ridge?
Yeah. Well, first of all, and I'm going to put it on stakeholders, pull us in all different directions, right? CEO, your job is to bring money. You have to take care of your people. You have to have the right process. You have to have the sales. You have to have this, more and more and more. And in the world of everything's more expensive, P&L, employees are the number one cost typically, right? And so people get cut, and I mean, we see it in the government now, right? And it's not always about that. Like, we have to delegate, we have to make good decisions, and we have to be confident. And I think noise is probably the number one issue right now. Is there's so much noise and so many people pulling us in different directions that it's that place of knowing, confidence, conviction, self-worth, and execute. And we were talking earlier, there's a lot of failure between vision and execution. And as leaders, we're expected to have a vision and carry that out. But we have to balance that with our people.
Yeah.
And people is an issue, and culture is an issue. And we talk a lot about this as far as not negotiating our core values for who's in front of us. Have you heard the word mimetic desires?
No, man, I'm learning a lot today.
Yeah. And it's really important because and when I say we, I mean everybody, we show up in a state where we start making decisions based on who's in front of us, what we think they think, or how they think we should act, instead of not negotiating our core values for who we are in our decision-making process. And so noise is a huge problem.
So much coming at us. And man, you said something earlier. I want to pull this up, and such a great conversation we already had. We can go any of these different directions. There's 3 types of people that you're hearing from, and I'm like, we got to talk about this in the podcast: the eye rolls, the blank stares, and the tell me mores. And you are absolutely avoiding 2 and absolutely leaning into 1. Why is that so crucial for you to be able to identify those 3 types and to be able to focus on the last one?
Yeah, I think some of it comes from a place, and we said this also earlier, that I heard this line of: people will want you to fail for the risks they did not want to take.
Wow.
And so when we match that against the classification of the eye rollers, the blank stares, and the tell me mores, is like, folks, the tell me mores, that's encouragement, that's growth, that's inspiration, that's momentum in your clarity and purpose. The other 2, they're distractions. And there are people and company and organizations in the world designed to work with those folks, but that's not for us. We're for the tell me mores in everything we do. And that is going to lead to more impact and strength and encouragement. And Alan, I've pushed up enough boulders in my life, and I've come to a conclusion that it's not my job to change everybody. It's almost an impossible task, and it's gonna deplete me. It's gonna deplete my energy. It's gonna deplete my momentum. It's gonna deplete my passions. However, staying in the lane of the tell me mores, it builds us up.
Because the eye rolls, clearly not interested. They're telling you that. The blank stares probably don't even know how to process. Maybe the risk you're taking is so far beyond that, again, they're either not ready yet, or that's just not your people. And it strikes me that the tell me mores, it's the curious and the hungry. And that is who is saying, I'm ready to change. Would you help me? And the others are absolutely going to deplete your energy, right?
Yeah.
They're going to beat you down before you can even go. Like, that's the, the 1%er that you talk about. You're aiming at the 1%er with your book, so many of your keynotes and whatnot. You're aiming at the 1%er. I'm curious. So 7 impactful lessons here in the whole book. Don't have time for the whole book today. Go get it yourself, snag it. Where do you want people to snag this?
Amazon's fine.
Go grab it on Amazon. Please write a review, friends. Like, reviews help the algorithms to help it get out there, because there's a 1%er that needs to read it but hasn't seen it. They're going to see this guy's sexy mug on top of, I know. I always said an article. They're going to see you on top of this Pete Vincent Massive in Antarctica and go like, maybe that's me. Maybe I won't climb the 7 summits, but I'm that kind of person that does hard things. And I love that you're aiming at them. But of those 7, is there one pillar that you think is extremely important right now in this crazy climate we live in?
I love them all.
Of course, I know. Which of your kids is your favorite, Scott? But like, warn them right now in the midst of, I don't know, fear or layoffs that people are experiencing or just disruption in our culture that you're like, man, we really need to pay attention to this one right now.
I really enjoy and like and embrace pillar 2, which is death.
I embrace death. Tell me more.
It's about dying to ourselves daily. In that action and that time, that quiet time, whether it's prayer time, yoga, meditation, we have an opportunity to pause. And when we die to ourselves, we get to realign ourselves with purpose, which is pillar 1. So we become realigned, recentered. And then in that time, we approach the day not negotiating who we are and our core values for others. So we're realigned with our purpose and we come centered in that and not negotiate who we are based who's in front of us or what others think.
Yeah, that's good. And there's several reasons we renegotiate who we are. Let's talk about money. We got a lot of business leaders listening. We have some ministry leaders that have to raise their own support. You've done all of it. Launch new companies, talk with partners and potential investors, ask people to sponsor trips, all of that. How can money be a gift? And how can money get in the way?
Money gets in the way very quick.
I'm sure. I mean, these expeditions are not cheap.
They're not cheap.
Yeah, how does money get in the way?
And it can, first of all, pull us off of who we are and identity. And it can create fear, pride, and whip us around back to the point of who we're attempting to please instead of just striding in where we're supposed to be at. So that 4th thing I heard was fund it yourself. And so I left my job. How am I supposed to fund this myself, right? This is a family decision. I have a family. We're still living, and the source of income is removed. So because of conviction, there was a willingness to sacrifice finances, which meant cashing in retirement, doing what it took to follow out this pursuit of what I believe I was supposed to do. So from a financial perspective, it's not mine. The opportunity to step into obedience, who cares about the finances, right? And the cool thing is, he blesses us in ways that we'll never understand or should ever expect, not because he has to, because he wants to. And now I can tell you, he replaced those finances with more from whatever. And now places of finance can be an absolutely beautiful thing as well, because there's people, there's businesses out there which purpose aligns with that support, and that's critically important. You know, us in nonprofit world, we typically don't like to ask, we don't like fundraising, but who are we leaving out of the experience, and who are we leaving out of that part of the journey because of our own inadequacies and asking for money?
Yeah, that's good.
So there is a very good placement for financial support in the right capacity.
Yeah, and a lot of times the opportunity, we're like, oh, the money's there, they're asking me to speak. Well, that's got to be. And you're talking about the pause. Pause and go like, hold on a second. Does this really align? Is this close to my purpose? And I see a lot of leaders make those decisions over a series of years. It probably won't happen with one decision, but over a series of years. And that's where a lot of the drift happens. Do you observe that among business leaders?
Absolutely. I think amongst everybody, sir, it's natural, right? And that's what gets us off. We talk, about that walking that ridge line, right? It happens quickly. We might slip and fall and slide down. Can we recover? Is that possible? And in fact, I have a funny story. Coming down from north side of Everest, you're on a safety line and the weather was so bad. There's only about a 4-inch spot where I can traverse down the side of the mountain. I'll say this quietly. I fell a couple times. Had I not been clipped into my running belay safety line, I'd be dead.
Funny story. Hilarious.
But we have those safety lines, right? And we're all gonna drift. How do we recover? What do we learn in that moment? And how can we use that for good?
Love it. And it strikes me that we can plan for it early. And that's, I think, what your purpose statement does. We call it a unique design statement. And to me, when I go, man, I've been designed this way, and this is what God has put in me uniquely. Some of it is nature, some of it's nurture. And when those things come together, you get to serve out of it. I love it. We're doing so many similar things. You just have the language nailed. And I'm so glad that you're out there. You're in pretty incredible spaces with pretty incredible people who are doing some amazing things. And that impact is cascading down. You know it because they're leading companies. They have plenty of people and obviously families. Like, let's not forget that when we come home fulfilled, our family wins. We come home depleted, our family loses.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day, man, too many good stories, I'm sure, from all this. But can you think of one? You share some scary ones. You share one kind of euphoric moment in all of your clients, or one moment that sticks out of just going, this was like a special moment. You knew it right as you were experiencing it.
Yeah, well, there are a lot of those. Climb number 4, Aconcagua in Argentina. I'm at Camp 2 at 18,500 feet. Ended up being there stranded 5 days because of weather. I happened to be with a guide. He's a world-renowned climber, first Argentinian to ever complete the 7 summits. Great guy. His whole spirit shifted. He stated, no one's ever been here longer than 2 days. Don't worry, we're going to go, right? And then all of a sudden you see his leadership mentality tank and attitude because weather churned. It was nearly -50 out there. Winds were insane. And we're stranded. We ran out of food. And you guys will get this day 2. So we have like an air mattress, and that insulates us from the ground. I had catastrophic failure on my air mattress, meaning it wouldn't hold air. There was no hole in there. I had glue and a way to patch it, could not find. So I became hypothermic.
Wow.
And this was like day 2, day 3. And I'm shivering. I'm in a tent with 2 other grown men. Tent's just shaking, ice coming down, freezing. And I'm in this battle with God. I'm like, what are you doing? I'm not a climber. This sucks. What are you doing? I don't want to do this. I ranted. And he was so patient. He listened. And then get this. The wind went from maybe 60, 70 miles per hour, shaking tents. And then for a moment, complete silence. I asked you to climb the 7 summits, not to summit them. Because I was worked up that my summit opportunity was gone because my lead guide was saying that it's not possible. And in that moment, Alan, I realized I took what he told me, I changed it in my mind to what I thought I had to do. And that created the word for the 4th pillar, rest. And that means resting, not on the beach, folks, resting in our belief system so we don't have to toggle it in this world for what we think. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, that's great.
In that rest is calmness, that we don't have to do this in our own strength.
Wow. I don't think I've ever heard rest at -50 when you're facing hypothermia, when the one thing you need to get you off the ice and snow is there. But such a good reminder, man. I can see why these lessons are interacting with and even just kind of agitating so many business leaders and executives, ministry leaders, whoever you are graced to influence, man. So it's been awesome. What else? What else would you love to share with people who are listening and watching?
My number one struggle in, I'll just say in the world is isolation. And folks, it's critically important that we link arms and do this together, whatever this is. Whether we're talking business or climbing mountains, is the design is not to be by ourselves in isolation. And especially as leaders, we pursue and we start, as we said earlier, we drift away a little bit. And so I challenge you all to step back and make sure that you have critical people and companies and organizations in your lives, because it's so much better, and there's healing with that, and there's comfort in that, and we don't have to see things all the same ways. But that isolation, it's devastating to what your purpose is. It's devastating for the people that you serve.
Man, so good. I love this morning. Coffee was amazing. Podcast, perhaps even better. Our conversation, friends, unreasonable. I think it's fair to say you are an unreasonable person in here. And I am so glad, man. And the fact that we can kind of live vicariously through those, but really through these lessons that you're bringing. It's been a gift to have you here. Harder and harder to find Scott speaking wise, because he's going to be doing less and less of it, executive coaching, those kind of things that you're doing, man. Incredible. God has positioned you exactly for this moment, for this purpose, for these people. And I'm just struck by the fact all that noise right now, and you have this incredibly clear purpose. So keep it up, man.
Yeah, thank you so much. Appreciate you. It's been fun being here, and I'd like to offer your audience a bit of a gift. Is we have a self-assessment around. We have a mastermind called Unstoppable Clarity, and it's a quick 7-question self-assessment that will help you gain clarity within itself, and you can just access that. Just text CLIMB, CLIMB. Be like, wow, we've been talking for a while. That's 90 minutes sleep there. CLIMB at 33777. That's 33777.
Awesome. We'll put that in the show notes. Grab that assessment. We love assessments here. And then what pops out on the other side ultimately can be your responsibility.
Absolutely.
Thanks a bunch, Scott.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thank you, Alan.